Welcome to another special Amaya Obok Malawi program. My name is Josephine Jizimba.
We are women crossing the line. We are saying no to rape. We are girls crossing the line. We are tired of abuse. No to rape, no to rape, no to silence, no to silence, no to violence, no to violence, no to oppression, no to oppression, no to rape, no to silence, no to violence. Stop violence against women and children.
Men and no will never be a yes. Enough is enough. We are tired of abuse. Fasten the defilement and rape cases. Justice delayed is justice denied. Our bodies, our lives. Stop violence against women and girls. This message is brought to you by Jass Associates, Southern Africa.
In last week's special program, Pomi Ntetwa, Jass Regional Director for Southern Africa and Jass Country Coordinator for Malawi, Sibongile Chibwesingini, highlighted some of the achievements accomplished in Malawi in the past 15 years. And in today's discussion, Pomi Ntetwa and Sibongile Singini will highlight how Jass envisions its next 15 years in Malawi. Let us listen in together.
Episode we had last week when we were celebrating the 15 years of Jass's work in Malawi, as well as the amazing journey of Our Bodies, Our Lives women's movement in Malawi. In this episode, we want to share a little bit of what Jass is thinking the next 15 years looks like for it in Malawi, but also globally. And it's been quite an exciting year for Jass. 2023 has been an exciting year of really thinking about what the world is telling us and how feminist movement building and feminist popular education's contributions sit to therefore think about how we could best make our contribution as a global feminist organization in trying to fix the mess that we are seeing at this moment. And so this year, we've had so much thinking. It's been a real thinking thing. But there are very important things that Jass is building on. And when I think about in Malawi, when I think about what we shared in the previous episode, it's all of these things that we've been able to support OBOL in building. 28 hubs across the country. Right? A movement that is registered, recognized, and respected, that is able to work across different thematic areas, holding health and well-being as a cross-cutting issue. But at the same time, we also have to recognize that OBOL has a responsibility to go beyond HIV-positive women, because we know that the problems of society do not just affect us because we are this particular identity. So we know that OBOL has to stretch itself in terms of making sure that the gift that Jass had given to it is also experienced by other people. And so for Jass, there's a very important thing, and affirmations that Jass did. Jass affirmed that we are a feminist movement building. Not a movement building of feminists. There's a huge difference there. We locate women's problems within the broader society. We do not compartmentalize women in one part to think this is a woman's problem. All problems are women's problems. That's one. And we use feminist popular education. That's our political drive in life. That's the first thing. The second thing I think that's important is to say, the world is a mess. Every gain that we have made over the past, let's say post-independence, is being reversed. Capitalism, the individualism, the consumerism, everything that we thought post-liberation Africa would enable us to build has never been more in disaster than we see. And when you think about Malawi and how the reliance on aid is actually affecting the way in which people are able or not able to build, with the logic of government and capital flight that is happening. It's a concern for all our continent. The third thing is that as we have made so many gains, using the human rights framework, there's been so many gains in terms of human rights, human liberties, and dignity. All of that is going outside. No one wants to respect human rights when white supremacy or racism at its worst, when capitalism, the idea of individual gains or profits, and when patriarchy, the idea that men and menism is much more important than women's life. All of those things are some of the things that are threatening not only women, societies, communities, and life as we know it. And when you throw in climate change, we won't be complaining about load shedding or power cuts. We will be complaining about a whole island, like we heard with Obol women in a recent event that we had of land defenders, that a whole island disappears. If you look at the areas of our coast, our coastlines, they are decreasing. The oceans are coming much more inward. That should be raising concern. So when you throw that and you think about the multiple crises that are facing humanity, we have to think, what is the role of feminist movement in this moment? And for Jass, the big thing for us that we know, in Africa that is so divided, our big goal right now is to think about what it means to build a pan-Africanist feminist ethos, a feminist ethic, a feminist practice that can actually hold these multiple crises, to actually both recognize and respect our different identities, but also be able to be responsive to the problems that we face, meaning having concrete agendas to develop solutions to work together across movements, across communities, across collectives for the solution of building an Africa that our governments are not talking about. So what does that mean for Jass in this region, and particularly in Malawi? It basically means that we will continue building on the big, beautiful lessons we have learned. We will continue to invest deeply in communities. Just like I started to say, Obol has a responsibility to also give back what's been given to it, right? We will continue now, stretch ourselves, build circles of women who will go through a feminist movement building cycle that they've never gone through before. It might include a little bit of others that have been part of those, but the idea to take women through building consciousness, developing, organizing, and mobilizing agendas so that they can win. We will have very targeted few sites across the continent to do that. The second thing, we will inform from those sites the importance of taking what happens deeply in communities to what happens nationally, right? To make sure that we are not people who are just talking to ourselves and go to conferences and so on, sometimes not informed by what happens in communities. So inform the agendas of cross-movement, cross-issues, cross-border, right? To make sure that there is a shared analysis that is developed and there are shared action points to build those things. The third part I think that is important is that because we believe so much in feminist popular education, because it has been proven as a tool, an approach, a practice that actually helps to shape and change things around, we will offer schools continentally, nationally, cross-border mixes. We will offer schools that allow us to deepen the analysis, to deepen the action points, and to share strategies. And most importantly, in a world that seeks to divide us even further and further, we will build meaningful solidarity. Not solidarity on signing a change.org, not that it's bad, but meaningful solidarity of sisterhood, of comradeship that allows us to build much stronger networks across the continent, within the country, and globally. And I don't know, Sibo, if you want to share a little bit of how you see the big arc of work of Jass over the next 10, 15 years in terms of Malawi, where you see the big value and strength of our contribution, having heard what I said, means for your role as country coordinator?
We are women crossing the line. We are saying no to rape. We are girls crossing the line. We are tired of abuse. No to rape, no to rape, no to silence, no to silence, no to violence, no to violence, no to oppression, no to oppression, no to rape, no to silence, no to violence. Stop violence against women and children.
Men and no will never be a yes. Enough is enough. We are tired of abuse. Fasten the defilement and rape cases. Justice delayed is justice denied. Our bodies, our lives. Stop violence against women and girls. This message is brought to you by Just Associates, Southern Africa.
Yeah, I think just to add to what Kumi said, I think we will also really continue with the knowledge and communication so that we amplify the women leadership voices. This will be done, I think, at different levels. We may use media, not only the radio, but we may also use TV. We may also write and document to make sure that what women are doing is also amplified and it is also shared. The experiences that women are holding, the knowledge that they have is also shared in wider convenings that we'll be having. The other thing is also working with other organizations. I think we have to do more on partnering with other organizations that are doing work that is also in line with what our strategies are, because we are focusing on safety of women, we are focusing on resources, we are focusing on bodies, and we are also focusing on voices. And I think the linkage, the connections from where we are coming from and where we are going is not really that different. We are connecting from where we are coming from. And now we are trying to go more wider compared to how we are doing it in the past 15 years of work that we have been doing. Yeah, so I'm so excited about this. I can't really wait to see the strategy taking shape, and I'm hoping that we will really add value to the work that other organizations are doing, what we are doing, and I think we'll also continue building a vision from the local to the global, where bodies, resources, voice, and safety form part of the web of life.
There's something very interesting about our histories as countries that have been colonized, right, Sibo?
Yes.
That there are historical things that even independence didn't undo, right? And so
Very
when you
right.
think, like right now, it's the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, okay? And it's a very important struggle for feminists to have achieved, the Maribel sisters being murdered, and the feminists to put like the 25th of November it's a huge achievement that this is now a worldly recognized occasion each year, 16 days of activism. But here are some of the challenges that we as women know, right? Is that gender-based violence, for example, has been a particular violence that talks to bodily harm, partner, family members, and so on. And it's an important struggle that must be recognized, fought, and eliminated. But we know that violences comes in so many ways. And part of those violences are rooted in a past. If a clinic is not working, it's violence. If there is no water, if you have a tap, well, first of all, you have to have a tap. If you don't have housing, if you do not have food on the table, you have to juggle each day for like essential, what they call them essential needs. But you do not have anything that is termed essential, right? If you think about how systemic power has played out, then you would understand why Jass is positioning particularly a look at the problematic that face society today from a structural violence place, right? Because we know that putting an elastoplaster on a wound does not solve the causes of why the wound happened in the first place, right? We know that you'll go to as a woman beaten by the men because you didn't cook, because there was no electricity and water. We know that fixing the blue eye from the husband's beating is not going to bring in the water in the well or the electricity in your household. So which is why it is so important. For me, what excites me most about this moment of Jass and this moment of thinking is one, what we tried to catalyze in terms of the feminist participatory action research across Zimbabwe and Malawi, to say, what if you approach this from structural violence lens as opposed to only gender-based violence? I think that was one of the most beautiful outcomes that you will be discussing in Lilongwe on the 8th of December, when you share what the feminist participatory action research was able to give. Right? And this, I think, it's a huge offer, not just to Malawi, but to the world, in terms of like thinking about how to address the problems that are facing all of us, holding how systemic they are, how they are rooted in colonization, in the histories that have shaped our countries, and in many ways, our movements, the way that we think about strategies. I think that is the most exciting thing that I see for the next while. How does structural violence sit at the center, at the heart of everything that is wrong? And therefore, what are the solutions? So that I don't just think of my problems as a Black lesbian woman like that, but I think holistically about what are the problems that really shape my life. I think that is most exciting. I don't know about you, Sibo.
Yeah, I'm so excited, and I think I've just thought about the policy gains that we have had, and I think and people being happy and celebrating about policy changes, which are not really the last thing that we really want, because the policy change alone is not sufficient to improve women's material and social status. And also it can't guarantee the full enjoyment of their human rights. But change strategies must effect this shift in all the spaces. That's why we are also using the power analysis as Jass to really discuss about the visible power, the invisible, the hidden, the systematic power. How does it operate? How can we tap to the power within us? And how can we bring these changes that we want, rather than just focusing on gender-based violence? So FPA is really a good tool that supports us and gives us knowledge to connect all the spaces that comes up with these systems, rules that oppress us. So I really love FPA, and I'm hoping that other organizations will also see the use of it. Even our government can also see the use of it. The media can also see the use of it and start using it in their everyday's work and all that. So yeah, I really like the FPA too as an FPE methodology. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been so wonderful, but we particularly hope that the partnerships we have created in Malawi, of course, first in line is Our Bodies, Our Lives, sister, and Kolwa, Manerela, the different traditional authorities that we've worked closely with over the years, you know, the government, the Department of Health in particular, but also the Department of Agriculture. And we hope that in our next phase and our next offerings as Just Associates in Malawi, everyone is able to support and contribute to what we are bringing, or what we have been bringing, as a way to contribute to shaping and changing not just women's lives, but particularly women's lives in Malawi. And some of the things like My Beautiful Memories in Malawi have also been the cross-movement, cross-sector, cross-issue organizers, the students from universities, the different NGOs who have come on board, you know, our wonderful relationship with the now Ombuds, Sister Grace Malewa, and all of the people who have worked with us for so many years. We hope that they continue to journey with us, because we know that Jass makes only one contribution, and it's going to take all of us to deal with the problems that we've described. And we hope that Sibo and Miriam have the support that all the community of Malawi can give them, so that they can also contribute effectively to the many challenges that are being brought here. So as we celebrate ending the year on a very high, we will be launching at the beginning of 2024 a beautiful closing arc of a literacy training manual in Chichewa. We did a literacy training manual in English that for over 10 years was the most celebrated, used
That was a special discussion on where Jass sees itself in the next 15 years in Malawi. In the discussion, we've heard from Mpumi Ntetwa and Sibongile Chibwesingini, Jass Region Director for Southern Africa and Country Coordinator for Malawi, respectively. Until the next Amaya Obok Malawi program, you are with me, Josephine Chizimba.
Crossing the line, we are saying no to rape. We are girls crossing the line. We are tired of abuse. No to rape, no to rape, no to silence, no to silence, no to violence, no to violence, no to oppression, no to oppression, no to rape, no to silence, no to violence. Stop violence against women and children.
Men and no will never be a yes. Enough is enough. We are tired of abuse. Fasten the defilement and rape cases. Justice delayed is justice denied. Our bodies, our lives. Stop violence against women and girls. This message is brought to you by Just Associates, Southern Africa. Southern Africa. Southern Africa.